Here's the transcript from the informal press briefing today. Reporter, Mr. President, did you tell him not to meddle in the next election? President Trump, excuse me, I'm talking. You are very rude. So we had a good conversation about many different things. Okay. Reporter, did you tell him not to meddle in the next election? Trump, we didn't discuss that. Really, we didn't discuss it. Then another reporter later on comes back to it, asks him again, did you tell him not to meddle in the next election? Trump says, it didn't come up. He did, however, make clear today, after this phone call, that even though the whole rest of his own administration spent all week saying that Russia was interfering in Venezuela and propping up the Venezuelan dictator there, turns out President Trump now says Putin isn't doing that at all because Putin told him so. You see the headline in Bloomberg News today. Trump says Putin not involved in Venezuela despite U.S. claim. So Putin says he's not doing it. And so President Trump believes it. And so, hey, John Bolton, hey, Mike Pompeo, are you guys enjoying your jobs right now? You each thought your job this week was to name and shame and threaten and counter Russian government involvement in Venezuela while saber rattling about how everybody else better get out of the way because the U.S. is really mad about it. Guys, turns out your actual job is figuring out how and why you work for a president who says whatever Vladimir Putin tells him. I mean, just to be clear here, how do you come to work anymore if you're John Bolton? Right? Regardless of what you thought about John Bolton before this, of his whole career and his track record, set him aside. Just think of John Bolton as a human being. This is what John Bolton, human being, thought his job was this week. Again, whether you like what he's saying here or not, this is what they've had him out there saying.
The Trump administration has also made the claim that Russia is very much involved in propping up the Maduro regime. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo told my colleague Wolf Blitzer yesterday that there was a plane waiting to take Maduro to Cuba, but the Russians talked him out of it. What exactly is the Russian role here?
Look, the Russians like nothing better than putting a thumb in our eye. They're using the Cubans as surrogates. They'd love to get effective control of a country in this hemisphere. We've made it clear to the Russians in a lot of conversations at a lot of different levels, some of which are going to continue today, why we think this behavior is unacceptable to us.
Yeah, you thought that was your job, but it turns out not at all. Not after Vladimir Putin gets done with President Trump today.
He is not looking at all to get involved in Venezuela other than he'd like to see something positive happen for Venezuela.
Putin doing anything in Venezuela? Who said Putin's doing anything bad in Venezuela? Who have you been listening to? I'm with him. He says he's not. John Bolton, God bless you. Good luck delicately and carefully shaving around that impressive mustache when you have to look at yourself in the mirror in coming days, Mr. National Security Advisor. This is who you're working for. You thought your job was to push Russia back because of what they're doing in Venezuela. The president spent an hour on the phone with Vladimir Putin today. Putin told him he's not in Venezuela. So now the new position of the U.S. government is that Putin's not in Venezuela. What's your job? Wow. Today was nutty on a lot of levels. But I think it is worth preparing ourselves for the fact that this weekend might be even a little bit nuttier. And that's because for all the weirdness that we've just been through,